Hello, app developers. Welcome to your second day of working with MapKit. So this is going to be a little walkthrough in case you need some help understanding what it is you're supposed to do for today's activities. The first task, first page, is a bit of a review, and you should be able to complete it just from looking back at the code that you were using in the previous challenge. So let's actually piece this together. Your task is to create a map that is centered on the Great Lakes Science Center in Cleveland, Ohio, and we want the map to show a square region of 100 kilometers around this location. Okay, now, the first thing that we actually did in building a map previously is we set, after making the map, we set the center coordinate of our map. So let's do this. Let's say Great Lakes, let Great Lakes Science Center view, or what do I call this? GLSC view dot center coordinate. Actually, I don't need let in there because I've already created it. So GLSC view dot center coordinate is equal to CLL location coordinate 2D, and this is going to have, I can just throw this in here, a latitude and longitude. Now, I don't know the Great Lakes Science Center latitude and longitude by heart. I wouldn't expect you to either. So you got to look it up. So let's go to Google Maps. You can see I've started typing Great Lakes Science Center. Because there might be others, I'm going to type in Cleveland as well. And sure enough, you will see a bunch of places coming together, and we get a location of Great Lakes Science Center. And if I do two-finger click, I can get the coordinates. So I'm going to go back here and just as a comment paste those in, and now I can type in the coordinates. I don't need that many decimal places. That's a lot of decimal places. Let's just do 50758 for latitude, and longitude we'll do negative 81.696. I guess I did 5. So 60. 69660 would be 5 digits. Fill that out. Okay. And before we do anything else, let's just test that and make sure that it works. So you can see now that at the center of my map, this is the state of Ohio, which is where I'm from, and if we do zoom in right in the middle, it does take us pretty much to Cleveland, Ohio, which is where we were looking. So it seems to be working okay. Let's go to the next step. We now want also to set the view region to be appropriate. So I'm going to do this in the same way I did this in the other playground. I'm going to come up with the kilometers that I want to zoom into to be a double, and I'm going to set that to be equal to 100.0 because I want to be centered on a 100 kilometer square area around the center. And I'm going to do this again in the same way that I did this before. I'm going to do view meters be view kilometers times 1,000. And so that's going to give me a region in meters that I can use when I'm setting up my view region. And the reason we need to do that is that if we're creating a view region, we do this with an object that's called an MK coordinate region. And this is expecting, see if we can see, no, we don't really have it. So it's going to expect a center, and we'll put that center to be GLSC view dot center coordinates. So we want it to be centered right there, and we want the latitudinal meters to be this view meters. And let's do longitudinal meters as well to be view meters. Okay, so that didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is that I never actually told the map view to use this view region that I created. It's an important step. So I need to tell it glsc view dot region. I need to set that equal to view region. Let's try that one more time. And now it is looking good. So mistakes happen. Forgetting to do that is normal. Okay, and let's go back and make sure that we have met the requirements. It looks like we have. So let's go on to the next page. So the next page, I will tell you, actually has a lot of the info that you might need if you need some reminders of how to set up page 1. So if you are watching this, maybe I should have said that before, but that's okay. Let's get to our task on this page. So page 2, there's a lot of information here, and I do suggest that you read through it. Your task is down on line 37, so it's a ways down, but this gives you a bunch of information with some little Easter eggs about my life and my reality that I'll leave it to you to figure out. But the big thing that's happening here is that I am creating something called a map location and a map annotation. If we go to the sources file down here, you can actually see the code for each of these. So we have a map location, and so a map location is just a class that I'm creating that stores a location on a map and a title. And the map annotation is also a way to combine a map location along with some more information that will actually display information on the map, on the screen itself. So you can look at it. This shows you how to create a map location for the place where I went to high school. So this is just telling you we're making a map location, and I can create an annotation for my school using the map annotation object. So that's right here. You can see how to do this. And then I am adding the annotation to the map. So you can see this happening in these lines. You can see that this little pin has popped up, and if I click on it, it says Mr. Weinberg School. So this is what the annotation provides. Now the task on this page is that I'm looking for you to add an annotation for one of my favorite places, candy places in the world, which is called Richard's Maple Products. It's a few miles from, a couple miles actually, from where I grew up. Great candy. Maple syrup is delicious. Maple syrup in candy form is even better. And so this is where I would get maple candy, which is one of my favorite things in the world. Anyways, so your task is to add a location and an annotation for Richard's Maple Products. Up here, there are 2 steps to doing this. And so you could just take this and copy it. This is how I did it for my school. And then do the same thing for the annotation. But I'm going to use some of the autocomplete features inside Playgrounds to help me with this. So I'm going to do Richard's location. I'm going to set Richard's location, and I'm going to call this a map location. And so the little reminder tells me what I need to put here. I'm going to make this Richard's Maple Products, and the location is going to be a CLL location. Same way I did it up here, CLL location. Oops, one extra L. And if I go inside that, it's going to give me the different components of that, and that's just going to be the latitude and longitude. So I'm told these numbers to use. I'm just going to copy and paste them right in. So that's there, and this there. Let's get rid of that placeholder. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is I need to make the Richard's annotation. And that's going to be what I'm calling a map annotation. And again, this is giving me just a location that I can use. There we go. So Weinberg School annotation, it just takes a location, which is going to be Weinberg School location. So I'm just going to type in Richard's location as the source for that. And last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Richard's annotation So you can see the same map as before. Here is my school, and now there is Richard's Maple Products right there, not far from the school. And so that is page 2. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Page 3, I'm giving you a bunch of information. I'm actually creating a location list. I'm creating a list using the Swift language of locations that I'd like to add to a map. And so you saw before in the last screen that I added 2 separate annotations to my map. One was this one when I added the school annotation, and then there was this one where I added the Richards annotation. And so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use arrays to do this. So you can see that I am creating an annotation for each location in my list, and I'm creating it for the first, the second, the third, and the fourth element of that list. This number inside, the location of the object in the array, is called the index. And so the first index in an array starts at 0, and then we go 1, 2, and 3. So I create those 4 annotations from the locations in the array, and then I add each annotation to the list. The only thing you're being asked to do is to add all 4 annotations to the map, and there are only 2 that are done for us here. So I'm going to be smart and lazy, just take this and change the code to 3 and 4, because these locations have already been added for me, and the locations are just sitting up here in the array. And so if I run the code, you can see that it has Lake Farm Park, my school, Case Western Reserve University, which some of you may have applied to. So you can see that that's here. In this array, I have made a separate location for each of these places, and I'm adding them one at a time, making an annotation, adding each annotation to the list, and then displaying the map. That's how this one works. Page 4 is showing you how we can actually do this whole process much more simply. So here you can see I have location list, which is a list of locations. Everything else is pretty much the same, but instead I'm going to use a for loop to take care of adding these annotations to the map. So for each place it's in my location list, I'm going to create a new annotation for the location in the list, which for the loop is place. So this is the current place in my list. And then I'm going to add it to my map. And to show why this is so powerful, I'm going to actually delete Richard's Maple Products from my list. So for this for loop, I create the annotation for the current place, I add it to the map, and I do that for every place that's in my list. So you can see that I have my 4 locations there. If I now want to add an additional location, if I paste that one back in there, you notice that the code, the rest of the code is actually the same. All I've done is add a new location to my list. And so when this map runs, it will just add the next location in there, because now it knows that it needs to add an annotation for every one that's in the list. So that's it. That's all I'm looking for you to play with today. Page 5, again, is your turn to create a map, but this time you're going to add to your map, you're going to add an array, a list of locations that has 4 other locations around it. So 5 in total. 5 important locations to you. Add them to a map using the information that I've given you in the preceding pages. And so I've given you some places here. You're going to add your location list here. You're going to use the first location of your location list as the center. Right now, I'm giving you the latitude and longitude. You're going to add the annotations here using what I showed you on page 3 or page 4. Either way is fine. And then you're going to display the map. And you're going to show that map and do another Flipgrid video that shows you talking about some of the important locations. That's it. Have fun, everybody.